We have been through a lot. This has been a journey, huh? You guys are in full-blown momentum. Some of you are getting outside your comfort zone. Some of you are sharpening your skills. You're inside your comfort zone, but you're just sharpening your skills. But regardless, there's been a lot of transformation mentally, emotionally, strategically, and that is the whole goal. That's why it's called velocity. It's called velocity, so you're gaining momentum, you're gaining speed. And so if you feel emotionally run down at all, if you feel mentally drained, if you feel overwhelmed, consider that you've just bumped up a level and you just haven't figured out how to operate there yet. That's all. Let's get George on the quiet plan here. Let's see. So if you feel overwhelmed mentally, emotionally, strategically, that's actually where you want to be. The first phase of learning is confusion. That frustration that people feel when they're learning something new, the nervousness, the overwhelm, that is literally your brain trying to fire new pathways to figure out how to do this thing. That's why speaking in front of a crowd is so nerve-wracking. That's why role-playing is so nerve-wracking. That's why going on presentations is so nerve-wracking. Once you've been on 100 listing presentations, that doesn't really show up anymore. You just kind of show up and you're like, hey, yeah, go ahead and sign. Yeah, okay, great. You don't really have that because you've experienced this before. So I just want to set expectations that if it feels a little overwhelming, it's supposed to. What I don't want you doing is this. I don't want you beating yourself up. Why is this so hard for me? Why am I so stupid? Everybody else seems to be better. You start comparing yourself and doing all that stuff. Don't do that. That's not an effective way. If beating yourself up worked, everybody would be rich, fit, and happy. But everybody's not. So resistance never led to change, okay? So two things. Number one, the competition is still in effect. So if you want to win that free ticket to the camp, keep doing your thing. Hashtag David Keesee, hashtag find a way, doing all the homework, supporting everybody, and engaging, which, by the way, I just want to applaud you because you guys are the most coachable group that I've ever worked with, which is really interesting, right? Outside of the coaching program, when I do events, usually you never know what you're going to get, but you guys are full out. Even when it's hard, you're going forward and doing it, and that's what it takes. It's really been a pleasurable experience for me, and a speaker and a trainer is only as good as the people that they're coaching. So you guys are doing amazing. Okay, so first thing I want to do before we get into our content, there's actually two pieces of content that I want to go over with you today. Number one is the biggest challenge of this event for me has been, and maybe you see it, I talk really fast sometimes and I'm going really quick, which is why I'm recording it and putting it in there for you. But that's because the biggest challenge I have is I have so much I want to give you, but I have a limited amount of time to do it. And I also know that progress, many times, the slower way is the faster way. And so I have to be very careful about what I don't want to overteach, because the fastest way to get somebody to not do something is to give them too much to do. And so I want you working on these individual things, but at the same time, real estate and the business of real estate has a lot more to it than even just the things that we've covered. I'm trying to take keystone skill sets, which is what I call in the coaching program, keystone skill sets, meaning I teach you this skill and it radiates out to other things. Like for instance, today, we're gonna be talking about how do you do video effectively. Doing video effectively, and what I'm gonna teach you allows you to do direct mail more effectively. It allows you to do advertising more effectively. It allows you to even sell more effectively. And so I have to pick these things, but there's just so much more. So I wanna share with you the 5 pillars of fast growth in real estate so that you can kind of monitor these things and see which ones do I need to work on? And then we're gonna go into video training, okay? So the first thing I wanna talk about is the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of fast growth in real estate. So after training over 40,000 agents, and I always said 30,000, I looked at our numbers again, I was like, oh, it's been a while. I've trained another 10,000. So after training 40,000 agents and coaching one-on-one over 4,000, I've noticed that there's patterns. There's actually a system that requires both structure and creativity. It requires both structure and creativity. There is a system, but within that you need to use your personality and strengths. But there's pillars that every agent that grows their business quickly does. Now, I'm not taking this out of my opinion. Again, this is data that I've done over 12 years of coaching real estate agents. And If you look inside of our coaching program right now, 67%, which is a really high number for a coaching program, 67% of our coaching clients are hitting $100,000 months in GCI. So they're going from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month. And the average timeline to do it is about 4 months. Now, what I don't want you to think as I say that is, I'm gonna get to $100,000 in 4 months. Because that actually, weird enough, even though that's possible and it's the average for our coaching clients, that's not an effective mindset to have. You want to have a long-term mindset where you're patient, but you're aggressive every day. So I don't want you to try and speed up the process, but I do want you to say, well, what are these pillars and what can I go to work on? So the first pillar is this. Shocker, shocker, it's psychology. And so one of the things that we do at the camp is we actually help you reprogram your mind through meditations, through certain affirmations, through certain perspectives. It's one of the reasons I like to keep my events small whenever we do live events, is because I like to work with you one-on-one, right? When I think about some of the people that have been to the camp in the past, I've had the opportunity to sit down with them and coach them one-on-one, as opposed to when I used to do these events with 200, 300 people in it. You don't really have that kind of time because there's so much management and all that kind of stuff. And yes, it's cool, there's a lot of people, but you just don't get the transformation. And here's what I want you to know. When it comes to psychology, and I want you to write this down, theory is good, but you will have to reprogram your mind and develop mindset skill sets. There's actually skill sets to mindset. It's probably one of the things that I see in our economy today that I call it bumper sticker wisdom. You just see all these coaches doing bumper sticker wisdom. Takes no talent to hustle. What the hell does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, that sounds cool, and it's like, yeah, and then I go off into my life, but then life happens, and I'm right back where I was. It's because I don't have the mindset skill sets. Like, I'll give you an example. Another bumper sticker wisdom, coffee's for closers. You gotta close on people. Cool. Man, I agree, I gotta close. I'm on a listing presentation, it comes time to close, and I'm like, how exactly do you do that? Like, you need the skill set to do it. And I assure you, the thing that stops you from being consistent, the thing that makes you feel overwhelmed, the thing that makes you feel beat down and not progress is you're lacking a mindset skill set. And the psychology, when we're at the camp, we spend a disproportionate amount of time on psychology. Even inside the coaching program, we spend a disproportionate amount of time on that. Because I want you to write this down. Approach trumps mechanics. Approach trumps mechanics. And if you have the mindset skills to position yourself with the right approach, the right mechanics will show up. When I play music, like I was doing this last night. I was singing and playing guitar. A lot of you may not even know that. I used to be a songwriter for Warner Brothers and Dr. Dre. Ironically, that was a crazy experience. But I used to be a songwriter. And when I would try to write songs theoretically, like, okay, yeah, this goes to the bridge and this, whenever I would do that, I get lost. When I would just have the approach of, what is the feeling that I want the listener to generate? What feeling do I want to generate from them? And then I would just play whatever came through. I would always write these songs that they'd be like, oh, that's amazing. And then later on, maybe I might adjust it, and I would break musical rules all the time. They'd be like, are you going to a minor right there? I'm like, yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? And it would sound really good, and they'd be like, well, let's just leave it in, because my approach would trump the mechanics. When I would play baseball, I had a coach named Manny Mota, some of you may know. Manny Mota was one of my coaches, and he said, I want you to stop trying to think about all your mechanics, and I want you to just try and hit the ball right at the second baseman every time. And so I would do that, and my batting average went up, because my approach was, I'm going to hit the ball at the second baseman. My mindset would simplify, and then everything would make sense. So one of the pillars is, if your psychology, it's nice to I wish I had more discipline, but have you developed the mindset skill that causes discipline to happen? Okay? Number 2 pillar is planning and organization. How many of you know that you could do more business if you just got better at planning and organization? Raising your level of productivity. One of the coaching calls I had yesterday was all about, how do I stick to my schedule? Like, it's nice, right? Everybody here knows you're supposed to time block. You know that. Hey, you're supposed to time block. If I hear that again, I'm gonna puke. Duh. We all know we're supposed to time block, but the question is, how do you stick to the damn thing? That requires pre-planning, and that requires productivity skill sets. And that's why one of the things that we work on at the camp is I give you a business plan. My whole goal with the camp, and the reason I decided to do it, even in this environment, I decided to keep it really small, to keep it safe, and I decided to do it because I think people like us are craving that. We're craving look, I need to get around people. I need somebody to walk me through this and show me this. And so what we do is we give you a business plan for Q4 and then for 2022. So you don't have to guess. You're just going into it. And I'm going to give you a small piece. Is that today? Yeah, I'm giving you a small piece of that business plan today, which is going to be really cool. Then you've got number 3, which is marketing. Solid marketing is a pillar. And normally what we're probably going to talk about tomorrow is the phases. So this is the pillars of fast growth. We're going to talk about the phases, like what every agent goes through. Most agents try to go directly to that. And we're going to talk about that today without the skill sets. And so what you end up doing is you end up spending a lot of money on marketing, but not getting a return. You know anybody that spends a lot on marketing but doesn't get the return? That is a marketing skill set. That's a demonstration. We need a marketing skill set. We need to sharpen those skills. And that's why one of the things that we work on is I'm actually at the camp, I'm doing 2 things. So by the way, I know a lot of you are already signed up for the camp. I know my coaching clients are coming, and I know there's a group of you that are already registered. At the camp, and I didn't tell you this, but I'm bringing a bonus. I'm actually bringing in an advertising expert that runs my ads that has been incredible. And he's literally just gonna open up Facebook, open up YouTube, and show you at the camp how he runs the ads. All you gotta do is do it. And the reason for that is this. Let me ask you something. Are you like an elite advertiser that I don't know about? Anybody here like an elite advertiser besides Chris Chun? Anybody here? Yeah, no, you're a real estate agent, aren't you? Yeah, but yet you're spending how much time trying to go, how do I make this ad work? What are you doing? Pay somebody $19 an hour to go do it yourself, and you create the content. And so one of the things that I'm doing at the camp is I'm bringing in my advertising expert to simplify the process for you so that you can just go, oh, that's how you do it, okay? And then you'll probably have him as a resource. From going to the camp, you'll be able to reach out to him and say, hey, how does this work, and all that kind of stuff. But marketing is required. Number 4 is sales. And sales is required, my friend. Now, not the kind of what do I got to do to get you in a Buick today kind of sales, but how do you sell in such a way that people are attracted to you? They come to you rather than you pushing. Because pushy today is very ineffective. Even the pushy sales trainers that used to be pushy sales trainers, like, oh, just do it anyway. Like, they're even changing their approach. They're like, wait a minute, how does this work? I remember it was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I heard somebody say, I was a sales trainer, I'm not gonna mention his name. He was like, you know, the idea of building rapport and watching your language patterns is just stupid. It doesn't work. And I was like, okay, dude. Okay, because I've literally transformed agents' businesses just by shaping the way they speak. And now today, he's like, you know, you gotta really focus on rapport. I'm like, God, coaches are scumbags. And I'm a coach, right? So like, I understand. I mean, have you ever seen any other agents? You're like, oh my God, what a scumbag. We just have that in our industry. As it becomes commoditized, that happens. But what I would ask you to do is I'd ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you're amazing at sales and 1, you're terrible. Like, how strong are you at the modern sales process? And then the last one is this, is the art of scale. There is scale. I was on the phone with some of you till like 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. You know, I've been looking inside this Facebook group, commenting on your stuff, giving you advice, and then some of you I was on the phone with until, 9:30, 10 o'clock last night, talking about this art of scale. How do you scale? And so I want you to write this down. The common ceilings for real estate agents are 12 deals a year, 24 deals a year, 45 deals a year, 75 deals a year, and 90 deals a year. Those are the common pitfalls. Once you get past 90, scaling is, you can go from 90 to 180 like that. Because with the things that you had to do in terms of leadership and scale, all this way are in place. And so that just scales really quick. But I would request, and I would just, you don't have to put this in the chat or anything, but I would just ask you, which ceiling are you stuck at? 12, 24, 45, 75, and 90. 12, 24, 45, 75, and 90. Like, what's ceiling? Now, it might be 13. It might be 23. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. But after training over 40,000 agents, I just noticed that those are the ceilings. And where are those at? And then I want you to write down what ceiling you're stuck at. Write down which ceiling are you stuck at here. And I'm going to give you the secret to what it is. What's stopping you? It is one of these. I 100% guarantee you, my friend, it's one of those. In fact, have you considered that it's probably one of the things that you've been avoiding up here? Which one have you been avoiding? Have you been avoiding sales, which is follow-up and closing and presenting and those kinds of things? Have you been avoiding doing the video? It's probably the thing you've been avoiding that stops you from going to the next level, right? And so I want you to look, like, there's nothing else to really learn. There's nothing else to really learn other than these 5. I'm covering all of these and simplifying the process for you at the camp. If you guys want to go, we have 10 spots available, 10 spots. Because we're only taking a certain amount of people so that we can be spread out and be safe and be responsible and all that kind of stuff. There's 10 spots available, I think. And if you want, I'll send you the link. I'm not going to do any kind of pitch or anything for this. If you are interested in it, go to the link, apply for it. You hop on the phone with me. That's the link right there in the chat. Oops, I sent that to Linda. Linda, there's the link for you. Here's the link right here. It's davidkeesee.com/thecamp. I'm not going to do some big pitch on it. If you want to go, apply. You'll hop on the phone with me. We'll see if it's a good fit. If you want to go, awesome. If you don't want to go, that's cool too. We've got 10 spots available. I'm sure we will fill them. Ken says he's going. Sweet. Yeah, I know a good percentage of you are going. We've got like 30 people signed up, and I'm assuming coaching clients are being lazy, which, by the way, my coaching clients here, I've warned you again and again, if 10 people from here sign up, I can't get you in. So if you're going to reserve your seat, okay? So my question for you is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, and I want you to do this. You don't have to put it in the chat. You can if you want, but I want you to say, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? How strong are my mindset skills on a scale of 1 to 10? How strong is my planning and organization? And wait till one of the things I give you today. You're going to be like, oh my God, that's the most simple way of planning. How strong are you 1 to 10? How strong are you 1 to 10 in marketing? Some of you, I'm not just watching you inside this group. I'm stalking your social media and watching how you do it outside the group. And I got to tell you, some of you, I'm pretty damn impressed. I'm like, wow, that's really good. But where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in sales? I can guarantee you this. At the camp and just my training in general, nobody will teach you that one better than me. Now, and I don't say that often because it sounds braggadocious and sounds completely arrogant. But I do believe that. Just because I've seen it, and I have 4, 5, 6 companies that are paying me a lot of money just to train their sales force, and they're in other coaching programs. I'm like, why didn't you just go to the other coaching program? They're like, they can't do what you do. So I'm blessed for that. I feel grateful for that, but I just want you to know that one changed my life, and I know it would change yours too. And then scale. How good are you at scaling? How good are you at recruiting? How good are you at delegating? How good are you at all these different kinds of things that create scale? Because all of them have, and we'll talk tomorrow about the phases and what skill you need to focus on in each one. That's going to be very valuable tomorrow. You don't want to miss that, okay? So where are you? And then I want you to add that up. So I want you to put whatever your number is here. And then I want you to give me a total down here. Don't give me the total, but write out the total, okay? And that's the percentage at which you're operating. Because, my friend, business is just math. Once you get this down and these two down, it's just math. These two are just math. It is not hard to scale. It is not hard to plan in such a way that you're productive. What's hard is getting your mindset right, knowing how to market and have sales systems. That's the hard part. Once that's done, then you're good to go. All right, so we'll talk more about the camp later tomorrow. If you want to go, again, click that link. You're going to apply. You'll set a time, book a time with me. You'll talk with me directly. I'm not going to send you over to some salesperson because it's not a sales pitch. If you don't want to go, it's all good. I'm not going to pressure you. So, but what I want you to look at 29. Okay, cool. Cool. So you're going to do the work, and I want you to look at which one is that for you, okay? And we might tie that into the homework a little bit later. So I need to make sure that we move. Is everybody clear on those 5 pillars? Like, there's nothing else to learn. It's just those spots. Now, you might say, well, David, what about the real estate portion? Real estate is not your problem. For most of you. If you're brand new, yeah, you got to learn the contracts, you got to learn the process, you got to learn those things. Your problem is actually not your problem. I'll give you an example. Somebody's like, and I get this comment a lot. Well, God, David, I always get these problem clients, and I have to work with these problem clients. Are problem clients your problem? No, they're not. Your problem is generating. Because when you generate, you don't have to tolerate. You just don't have enough options. If you had 10 listings and 5 buyers you were showing property to, you'd tell this problem client to get lost. The problem is not the problem client. The problem is not the overwhelm. The problem is you're not generating. You want to generate so you don't have to tolerate. And by the way, when you learn how to sell, and listen to me closely before we move into video, when you learn how to sell, there's been a lot of talk. What if Zillow takes it over? The real estate agent's not going to make more than $40,000 a year. They're just going to be employees for Amazon and Zillow. When you learn how to sell, it doesn't matter what the industry does. It doesn't matter. You can go sell widgets. I can teach you to be an author and you'll make money. I can teach you, when you can sell, you literally are recession proof. So learning how to sell, critical, okay? And today, we're gonna teach you how to sell on video. So, how many of you know you gotta get better at video? Just type in me in the chat if you know you gotta get better at video. Yeah, Devin, you've been sending me a lot of videos. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? This is gonna be good for you, dude. I was actually thinking about this morning. All of us need to get better at video. Cool, yeah. I love it, I love it. I have to get better at video, always can get better. Very cool, absolutely sweet. Rick, it's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you. All right, so there's 2 kinds of video, okay? There's 2 kinds of video. I love this conversation. I love this conversation because this, if you can get this, it extrapolates out to all your other marketing, okay? So there's 2 kinds of video. There is creation, and that's the first one. So creation is, I'm going to create some content. Let's see, what should I do? The most common thing I hear in our business is, I want to send something to my database, but I need an idea. I need content. You guys ever had this? I would make a video. I just don't know what to make a video about. I would send out a postcard. I just don't know what to put on it. I just need content. And so a lot of people have been like, wow, like Keeping Current Matters. They're like, wow, agents don't know how to come up with content. Let's provide it. Wow, agents don't know how to run ads. Let's run ads for them and send them the leads and charge them for it. I would rather you get good at it and then save the money. That's what I would rather have. I would rather you learn how to do video and not worry about paying other people. I would rather you learn how to run ads and not pay other people, unless you're in a place where you need to delegate. But it's still, like let's say that you come to the camp, you watch Adam do all his ad stuff. You say, Adam, I want you to run the ads for me, and he runs the ads for you. You still need to know what the hell you're doing. How do you know it's working or not? You got to know, and you got to know what tweaks to run. Like Adam, what he'll show you is, Adam said this inside of our coaching program. He did a video and he said, you know, I'm like the technician, but David's like the architect. Like he's the one that's like planning the whole influence process. And that's true. I'm the one going, okay, and I'm following the frameworks that I'm going to give you right now, all the time. In fact, the framework I'm going to give you today, if your marketing is not converting, it is only one of 3 things, and I'm going to share them with you in a second. And I'm going to simplify this whole thing for you. It's going to be ridiculously easy, and then I'm going to show you how I set you up with yesterday's homework. This is chess, it ain't checkers. So, creation. You're coming up with ideas. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want to give you an exercise and a spreadsheet that you can do for content. I call it Content 365. Content 365. Content 365, and here's what Content 365 is. So you don't have to come up with stuff. If you are going into the year, and it's one of the reasons I do the camp in October. I always try to do it in October because I don't want you going into 2022 like, what should I do? Should I send out a marketing piece? You are screwed, my friend, if that's the case. If you're doing that, if you're going, I wonder if I should send out, as opposed to following a plan, marketing is not going to be consistent. And so one of the things that I've done in my own business is I said, well, how can I streamline the content so that I just walk in and I go, oh, I'm doing that, bam, and I do it. Like, that's what I would rather you do. I'd like you to make this simple, easy, fun. You don't need some big marketing plan, and you don't need that, I assure you. You don't need that. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Complexity is the enemy of execution. I want it simple, easy, fun. Simple, easy, fun. Look how much action you guys are taking and how much you're growing because you've accepted that it's simple, it's easy, it's fun. You're like, oh, it's simple, it's easy, fun. I'm just going to go do it. So Content 365 is the most simple way that I have ever experienced to create the content plan. And basically it's this. Number one, I ask myself, I go to a spreadsheet, right? And I get this spreadsheet. It's usually Google spreadsheets because that's what I love. And then I ask myself, what are the biggest problems I solve? And I make a list, and I go through as many as I can. Now, you guys did anywhere from 3 to 5 yesterday. I want you to keep coming up with it, 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 keep coming up with it. And the way you're going to do is you're just going to sit down, take a half an hour one day and just go, oh, you remember that one escrow that was a pain in the ass? Oh, yeah, what was the problem with that one? And just do. I bet you can come up with 365 problems from one escrow. You'd be like, you can come up with all of them right there, right? So you just sit there and say, what are the biggest problems I solve? Well, I help people get a value on their house. I help people understand the process. I help people negotiate contracts. I help people with expenses. I help. All these problems that you help, I'll bet you could come up with, right now, I'll bet if we sat here, we could come up with 20 or 30. And there's probably hundreds, right? Because you can break them down and chunk them down into micro problems, right? Like knowing the value of my house. Well, I can break that down into 3 or 4, right? FHA appraiser, yeah, all these things, the underwriter. There's a lot of problems that you solve that, by the way, you take for granted. You're a damn powerhouse pretending to be powerless. Like, I want to let that sit in for a second. You're a friggin' powerhouse that's like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's crazy. All the power and the connections and the influence you have, and yet you pretend, let's play a game. Let's play a game like I'm not good enough. And it's just not true. And I'll promise you, as you do this, you'll be like, damn, I solve a lot of problems. And guess what? You are paid in direct proportion to the amount of problems you solve or how big that problem is. That is what you're paid in proportion to. So check this out. Most agents are marketing, giving solution. But I want you to write this down because it's critical. The solution has no value except for the relevance to the problem. The solution has no value except for relevance to the problem. If you give me a solution for a problem that I don't know I have, it has no value. You ever consider that? It has no value. Like if I don't know I have that. We've created a safety trigger for a gun so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. I don't shoot myself in the foot. Really? What's that blood on the floor? Holy crap, who shot me in the foot? They don't even know. You're the one that has to go, hey, you have this problem. And now you provide the solution, and now it makes sense. And the more you can articulate the problem, and the more you can articulate the alignment with that solution, it's assumed that you're the answer, that you're the expert. It's assumed, right? So number one in this 365 is, what are the problems? In fact, if you go back through all of our videos, what you'll find is most of us are sitting on the positivity side. We're sitting on the solution side. But have you ever heard this phrase? People will do more to run away from pain than they will to run towards pleasure. You ever heard that? And yet, what does most of our marketing do? It talks about the solutions and the roses and the yay and the clouds and the unicorns. Yay, it's gonna be amazing. We gotta talk about, hey, you're sitting there in your house miserable. You've got 2 kids, 1 on the way, and you live in a 2+2 condo. What are you gonna do? You better say goodbye to sleep, because you're never gonna see that again. You know, like you got now you might not be that direct. You might be if you want to be that entertaining, but you have to have both. In order for somebody to take action, in one of the courses we have inside our coaching program, it's called Understanding and Triggering Human Motivation. And the way you trigger human motivation is to articulate the gap. Here's where I am, here's where I want to be. Most people get comfortable right in their piss pool is what I call it. They just get comfortable. It's warm in the piss pool. It's warm. And as soon as they go to get out of that piss pool, they're like, oh, it's cold out here. I know it's fresh and clean, but it's warmer in here. It's nice and warm. And until you go, hey, you're swimming in a piss pool. You got to get out. Like, until, ew, oh God. And then they will take action. So I want you to get really good at the problems, because people will just gently get comfortable. And they'll tolerate, and they'll tolerate, and they'll tolerate, and they'll tolerate, unless you are the hero and come and go, you don't have to tolerate that. The biggest excuse we see for people not moving right now is what? I don't know where I would go next. And so they stop. and they deal with the crap, and they deal with the crap, and they deal with the crap. What percentage of people do you think actually are thinking about moving or would like to move if they could? If they thought they could, what percentage do you think would move? Yeah, it's more like 75%. It's up there. According to NAR, it's 60. It's 60%. I think it's higher than that. I think if people knew they could move, they'd be out. And it's only a certain amount of pain. It's only until you articulate the pain that the solution makes sense, okay? And then you want to go to, what are the biggest questions I get? So you're going to outline all those problems. You're going to have about 20. You're going to have about 30. And then you're going to say, well, what are the biggest questions I get? How does this happen? What does this mean? What happens with this? What does this line in the contract mean? How do you end up negotiating? What's the marketing plan that you do? All these different kinds of things. All these questions that you get, you'll probably come up with another 20 or 30. And really, by the way, you don't need 365. You need 240. If you can get 240, you don't even really need that. You need 120 and then just repeat twice a year, every 6 months. So you ask yourself, what are the biggest problems I solve? What are the biggest questions I get? And the last one is, what are the biggest programs, processes, and strategies that I use to help people? What are the biggest programs, processes, and strategies that I use to help people? And when you're trying to create content, it's helpful to think of all this now. Right? Can you imagine a musician going into a concert and going, right, we're out of songs, let's write one now. You guys want to write, the whole crowd's out there, let's try to write one now. That's not a time for creativity. When you're in the middle of a concert and thousands of fans are out there, it's not time to go, right, should we play in G? What do you guys want to play in? I don't know, let's come up with something. It's going to go bad. You would rather be like, let's go back, let's think about what the set is going to be, and then let's plan it, and then let's walk out and do it. That's ultimately how you want to do it. And so if you want to keep it simple, you don't need this big content calendar and all that kind of stuff. You just need ideas 365, and you just keep adding to it, adding to it, adding to it, adding to it. The truth is, you're walking around marketing gold all day long. In fact, that's the second part of doing video, is documentation. I was looking at some of your Instagrams yesterday, and you were doing a really good job with documenting. No creeper mode. If I just had somebody walk around following you with a camera, the conversations you have with each other, the conversations you have with clients would be marketing gold. Be marketing gold. If I just documented what you do every day. See, you're around you every day. And so you're like, what I do is boring. Nah, it's really not. Some of the conversations you have are mind-blowing. Like you have a conversation with somebody else about what's happening with an escrow. Like you're just like, that happened? Like it's completely entertaining, right? So think about what we were talking about, what makes content useful. It's either educating, entertaining, or inspiring. If you're documenting, it does all of those. I would love to see, how are agents helping clients buy and sell houses during COVID? How are they doing that? Not every. There's a solution for that, Kathy. I love it. There's a solution for that. When now do you want to go ahead and sell your house? When now? When now would you like to sell it? There's a solution for that, right? And by the way, I saw some agents on my feed, because I have 5,000 friends on my Facebook, and like 4,600 are agents. I can't tell you how many people I saw 2 days ago that were like, tired of California? Call me. Like as soon as the results come out, they were like, call me. I was like, well, that is timely marketing, right? So the question is, are you going to create or are you going to document? I recommend documentation. It's the easiest way. It's the easiest way. Is to just document what's going on. Hey everybody, I'm sitting here and I just got off the phone with another agent. We were talking about like what we're gonna do to get this deal closed. Now, one of the challenges that people have is they don't realize that there's certain contingency periods, and as they come up, you know what'll happen sometimes with the buyer's agent? They'll make it so that they don't perform. And we actually have something called notice to perform. And if you think I'm not gonna smack your ass with a notice to perform to protect my sellers, you are out of your mind. Like you could literally make something very interesting. I'd be like, a notice to perform? He's smacking the nail. This is amazing. They would be very entertaining, but you're around it every single day, so it doesn't seem that entertaining, but it is. So documenting is a very strong way to do it, and you just don't have to think much, right? If you were on a call with a for sale by owner, an expired, or a possible lead, and somebody was documenting that, I'll bet that conversation would be very intriguing. Very intriguing, okay? So the question is, are you gonna create or are you gonna document? You can't really do that in the 365, say what you're going to document. When you go to preview property, that should be a documentation. When you're looking at the hot sheets, you should be documenting that and reporting that. Like, you can do this effortlessly. But for those of you that are gonna lean on creation, what problems do you solve? What questions do you get asked? And what are the programs, processes, and strategies that you use? You know, so many sellers right now are wondering, where would I go next? I would sell my house if I could just find out where to go next. And that's why we have our Smart Seller program. Our Smart Seller program figures out where you're gonna move, helps you get the down payment and buy that house. And then once you've bought that house and got into your new one, then we sell this one. What would it be like for you if you could already move somewhere else and not need the cash out of this house? Would you feel more comfortable moving forward? Like, that would be very interesting. That'd be a very, look, some of your jaws drop. It's recorded. You get to go back and see it, so it's all good. And we're going to talk about how I just did that. All I did was follow a framework, but I want you to know, like, this stuff, when you name stuff, my Smart Seller program, like that one, I just, Smart Seller program. Are you Smart Seller? Like, when you name stuff, it helps a lot, okay? So the ultimate video framework, let's talk about, once you have your content all laid out for the year and you've been documenting throughout the day, let's talk about how you actually do video. And this video that I'm going to be teaching you is relevant to all marketing. Every ad you'll ever see, every YouTube video you ever see, anything through your Facebook feed, any direct mail piece you get, it's going to come down to 3 parts. And there's 2 different frameworks. The first one is called hook, story, offer. Now, offer is a weird word because you're not necessarily making an offer. It's a point. It's a call to action. Leave me a comment. Direct message me. I want to know what you think. Comment below. Like, that's a call to action. That's the offer. The offer doesn't have to be, buy this now for $9.99. Like, that's not, call me for a free home evaluation. That can be the offer. Call me for a free home evaluation. That can be. But it's not necessarily an offer. It's a call to action, something you want them to do. Click the link below, put in your email address, DM me, call me, email me back, whatever that is. It's gonna be a call to action. So there's a hook story offer, and then there's a hook value offer. This one tends to be a social proof piece, which, by the way, if you don't have the book already, the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. Influence by Robert Cialdini. He talks about the 6 levers of influence that influence people, and social proof is like the most influential thing there is. So you've got hook story offer, hook value offer. And what you're going to do is you're going to, it doesn't matter if it's a 30-second video, it doesn't matter if it's a 3-hour video. Even a movie has a hook, a story, and offer. You ever see this kind of movie where all of a sudden they show you the end first? And the guy's like dead, and like Denzel's dead. And you're like, oh my God, Denzel died. And they're like, boom, 9 months later. Or 9 months earlier, right? 9 months earlier. And you're like, oh, well, you got, how the hell did he die? Like, I gotta see the story, right? Like, that's a hook. They hooked you in a 3-hour movie, a 2-hour movie, whatever it is. So you wanna get good at the hook. And I'm gonna demonstrate to you how to do each one of these. But just understand that there's nothing else in making your marketing that you have to worry about. If your marketing isn't converting, it's either the hook, it's the story or the value, or it's the offer. Every single time, there's nothing else to discuss. Every single time. The reason people come to me with their marketing, they're like, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, fix that. And all of a sudden it converts, is because I'm just looking for this. I'm just looking for hook, story, offer. That's all I'm looking for. Or I'm looking for hook, value, offer. If the value isn't relevant to the problem, well, then you're gonna be in trouble. So, how do you execute this kind of video? Well, let's see right here. The hook. Let's talk about the hook. So the hook can either be a question. Hey, coaching clients, have you guys noticed that my writing is better on this than it is on the digital whiteboard? You can actually read it here. So you've got it could be a question. It could be a statement. It could be a quote. right? It could be, and this is auditory, by the way. There's two ways and two things you need to look at with your hook. You need to look at the auditory, what you're saying or what the sound is, and the other one is visual. Trick question for you guys. Which one do you think is more important in today's economy? The auditory hook or the visual hook? What do you think? Auditory or visual?
Auditory.
Auditory is good, but I don't know if you know this, 80% of people are watching Facebook and Instagram with the sound off.
Yep.
And so visual is much more eye-catching. So I want to talk about visual and then we'll talk about auditory. This is auditory. Are you asking a question, a statement, or a quote? Now, what you could do is combine both, couldn't you? Yeah, visual with caption. That's why captions are so important right now. Make sure because they read it and they're like, what the heck is that? But in terms of visual, so let's talk about, we've talked about auditory. You ask a question, a statement, or you have a quote. The visual is this. Everything in your frame tells a story. I'll give you an example. If I do this. Hey everybody, and by the way, let's make it so you can't even hear me. If I just go. Right? And then we watch this. What can you assume? You can make assumptions about this, can't you? Well, he seems happy. They must be doing something motivating. They're obviously filming something in the background. He's showing me behind that background tells a story. What does your background tell you? Some of our backgrounds tell us, I'm hiding in a cave. I got to get this video out before they know where I'm at. They're going to find me. You look like you're hiding in a cave from somebody, like, you know, military's coming to get you. I've only got a couple minutes. I got to tell you about this sale we just made. The background tells a story, okay? And so you want to make sure that you use a background that catches my attention. The second thing, so in terms of visual, you've got the background that matters. But here's the big one. The second one is movement. So there's another book called Influencing Behavior. Influencing Human Behavior. Influencing Human Behavior, and it talks about attention. And the fastest way to grab attention is what we talked about earlier in this course, which is movement. If something moves, boom, you're literally geared to just go look at it. So when you're going through feeds and you see a quote cards are cool, they are what they are, but a photo isn't gonna have the snap that movement will have. So anytime there's kind of movement, and it doesn't matter. That's why my Facebook ads guy told me, like, when I did the video for the book, no joke, this is how I did it. I had it laying down like that, and I said, are you looking to improve your mindset? I literally picked it up. The first thing you saw was my ceiling. And I was like, hey. And it converted like crazy. Why? There's movement to it. So when you go to do this hook, you may have some movement, or maybe, and by the way, you guys have access to the best hooks in the world. Do you know what they are? The best hooks in the world. What are they? Hello, they're houses. They're houses. Who doesn't want to see a damn house? Who doesn't want to see a cool kitchen? Who doesn't want to see all these things? Like, of course, a pool, a view. Like, you will stop me in 2 seconds. Even if I don't want to buy or sell a house, you may get me to want to buy or sell a house by showing me a killer view that I could probably afford. I'd be like, wait a minute. Our view sucks. That was amazing. You get me interested by using props, by using houses, right? I can still to this day remember one of Devin's videos because he was in San Diego in front of this killer, like, Spanish looking house. Do you remember this video, Devin? In front of this Spanish house, and it was like the brown Spanish tiles, and it had this view, and I was like, damn, son, that's strong. Look at that house. Now, I didn't give a crap about Devin at the time. I was just like, look at that house. And then he came up and I'm like, that dude looks snazzy. Now I care about Devin. He got my attention. I'm like, what is this dude? So that house, and we're taking votes, right? I'm like, Taylor, that's gotta be worth $3 million. She's like, no way, that house has got to be $9 million. I'm like, $20, it's $3 million. So now we're like watching it because we're just intrigued by the props. So your hook is the most important, by the way. It's the most important part of the video. No hook, nobody watches anything, okay? The next one is going to be a story or a value. So a value could be something that is what we talked about. It's useful. Here's some things you need to know. Now let me ask you something. We're going to do our homework and we're going to do video. What could you put in this section? What could you put in that section for value? What do you think?
Your key services.
You could put your key services. Didn't you guys just put together a PDF download that was of value? So there's no reason to think to yourself, well, I don't have any piece of value that I could offer. Like, what would I do a video on? Hello, you literally just created a PDF yesterday of it. You just did it. And so all you need to do is say, look, and today, how could I put this? If I wanted to do it with your homework, I would say something like, are you thinking about selling your house, but you don't know what to do next? In this video series, I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to do to prepare to sell your house for the most amount of money and get where you want to go. Stay tuned. Number 1, the first thing that you have to look at is you have to look at what things do we need to upgrade so that we can get a higher net. That's why what my team does now, I'm going into value and story, I'm doing both. What my team does is we come in, we professionally take a look for free, and we come in and we look at all the things that you should be doing upgrades on. Because here's the thing, most homeowners are upgrading the wrong things that don't increase the value. Did you know there's only really 3 things that if you upgrade will increase the value? If you want to know what those things are, DM me below and we'll set up a time and I'll come by for free and show it to you. Stay tuned for the second video. Hey everybody, we're in the video number 2. Like, you literally just did this. You have 3, 4, 5. You can do 3, 4, 5 videos right now off one marketing piece. So what would it be like if every single month you created a PDF cheat sheet with 5 things to talk about, and then you just did a video series with those 5 things? And you said, hey, if you want to get the PDF download, click here. And now you're getting leads for a free PDF download, which, by the way, take it from somebody who's an advertiser. The PDF download is the cheapest lead you will get. You're not going to get a better cost lead than a PDF download. I've tested this over and over and over. People just download stuff. They're just looking around like, download it? Cool, I'm going to download it. And they'll just download it. Now you've got attention. You can remarket, you can email, you can retarget, you can do all these different things. What I just gave you is marketing gold. I've been influencing you to create marketing gold without you knowing it. It sounded like homework. But what you just learned how to do is repeatedly every single month create something cool that somebody would want and then do a video campaign around it. Hello? Now all you got to do is master the hook, story, offer to grab people's attention, and you're golden. And you're golden, okay? So the hook, you use auditory, you use a question, a statement, or a quote. You might say a quote like this. And this is also a question at the same time. Did you know that 90% of millionaires are made so through real estate? That would grab my attention, especially if I'm going after investors. I might ask a question, which you've seen me do a few times. Are you somebody who's thought about selling your house, but you just don't know where you'd go next? Yes. And by the way, that's called and there's one more. I actually wasn't going to put this in here, but there's one more hook. It's called an identifying pattern interrupt. So Tony Robbins coined the term pattern interrupt. And I'll give you an example. I've had coaching clients come on the call, and I'm like, so how was this last week? And they're like, well, you wouldn't believe it. They just go into full-blown crying. I'm like, hey, wait, hold on a second. They're like, okay, I'll wait. And they just stop crying because I just interrupt the pattern. I'm just like, hey, let me ask you a question. I've done that too. Let me ask you a question. What kind of shoes are you wearing right now? What? Oh, yeah, these are Vans. Oh, the crying has gone away. That's called a pattern interrupt, a behavioral pattern interrupt in neurolinguistic programming. Well, you want to do an identifying one. Are you thinking about selling your house? Are you a homeowner that wants to sell because of all the equity you got, but you just don't know where you'd go? I'm calling you out. Homeowners in San Diego, homeowners in Noonan, Georgia, all 5 of you in Noonan, Georgia. So you can do that too for a hook. The name of the game is grab my attention. The one that grabs the attention wins. In terms of the story or the value, when you have a story, I actually want you to use a personal one. So when it comes to a story, use a personal story of one of your clients. One of your clients. And we'll do more of the feel, felt, found tomorrow. And then in terms of the value we've already discovered, right? It's one of those content 365 ideas that you're going to be delivering value on. So you've got the hook, you've got the story or the value. You can combine them if you want, but you could just do a story. You could just say, are you thinking about selling your house, but you don't know where you go next? You know, one of my clients, Devin, was thinking the same thing. He had all this equity. He had like $400,000 of equity in his first house. And so he was like, wow, I'm really glad that I bought a home rather than renting because I wouldn't have all this equity. I just don't know where I would go, David. And then he did our Hoobie-Doo Advantage program. I don't know. Come up with it. Yeah, that's your job to come up with it. With a Hoobie-Doo Advantage program. And what he did is he ended up moving to Texas and buying 2 houses cash with the equity with no money out of pocket. What would it be like for you if you could do that too? Want to know how to do it? Send me a DM down below. That's just an easy video. I give you a story of a testimonial or a social proof piece, a case study of what happened with my client Devin, and what happens. When I tell you a story, you immediately put yourself in that situation. You're like, I'm a homeowner. How much equity do I have? I'd consider moving to Texas. How did he do that? Like it's almost like I'm talking to you. That's actually how human beings have passed information down from generation to generation to generation. We didn't always have the internets. We didn't always have Facebook. We didn't always have YouTube. We had to pass it down with story. That's why stories land so hard. So you can do that, or you can use value, and then your offer is just a call to action times 3. So when you go to do your homework today, I want you to do 3 call to actions. And I don't care if you fumble over it. I don't care if you mess up. We're inside the Velocity group. This is where you're practicing. This is where you're getting feedback from me and all your colleagues here. You're going to do some kind of hook. You're going to do some kind of value or story. And then you're going to do a call to action. Send me a comment down below. Write me a comment down below, because right now you could be missing out on a ton of equity. So whatever you do, at least you owe it yourself to find out. So comment below and I'll tell you exactly. I'll send you a free home evaluation. All you'd have to do is give me your email. So comment below, 3 comment belows. Critical, critical, critical. I wouldn't be telling you to do it if it didn't increase conversions. Having 3 call to actions is going to be really important. So you're going to go from a hook to a story or value to an offer 3 times. Boom, do this. Boom, do this. Boom, do this. Okay? Are there any questions? What is the value? The value, Margaret, is you can do a couple of things. Value would be educational. Even the story could be valuable. You could tell the story, that story of Devin demonstrating the possibility would open up value for somebody. But the value you've already done, you created it yesterday. What are the biggest problems you solve? So when you guys, if you go back into the Facebook group, oh good, I'm already there, right? So when I look at you guys doing your dang videos. Well done. And working a full-time job. And some of you are married with kids, so you got 3 full-time jobs. Yeah, look at this one. Cecilia, yours looks awesome. Best tips for home sellers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What was that? 1, 2, 3. You got 6. You got 6 of them, Cecilia. Well done. Right? She's got 6 videos right there. So she can go into her deal and say, have you had any thoughts about selling your house? I've got 6 tips for home sellers to make sure they get the most amount of money and make the transaction process smooth. Number 1, make sure that you declutter the house. I don't know if you know this, but the number 1 thing that sells a house is how the home shows. So that's why me and my team show you what to declutter, how to stage the whole house so that you can maximize your profits. So if you want to know what you should be decluttering and how you should be staging this house, send me a direct message and we'll come by and look at it for free. There's no obligation. I know you might not be looking to sell yet, but if you do want to know what you should be decluttering, send me a direct message down below. Because right now, you don't want to miss this curve. We're at the highest prices we've seen in history. So if you're somebody who wants to do like all my clients have been doing and capitalize on that equity, send me a direct message. We'll come by. We'll tell you what to declutter. I'll see you on the next video. And then the next video, she's going to do her value number 2 is make sure you fix. And the value number 3 is make sure you paint, right? And there's all these pieces of advice that are going to be value. Yeah, she did. She did a really good job using Canva. A lot of you did. I was very impressed. Are hashtags still relevant? Yes, of course. What is value? Good. All right, good. So are there any questions on the hook, the story, the offer? Because I want you to know, like if you send out a direct mail piece and it's not working, all you do is you send it to your coach and you say, hey, or you bring it to the camp and you go, what do you think of these direct mail pieces? And I will look at it and I'll be like, what's the hook? What grabs my attention? What's the story or the value? What's the offer? Because it's always going to be one of those three, always. Now, one more thing I want to say before I open it up for questions. So let's say that you have a campaign that's like a YouTube video that goes to a landing page, that goes to a video from you, that does a, hey, click here for a free home eval, right? There are two kinds of hook story offers. There's hook story, and I'm going to call it hook story offer because it rolls off the tongue, but it can be value too. So hook story offer, hook story offer, hook story offer, right? But there's also hook story offer. So I want you guys to become obsessed with this, and I want you to begin to look at it. I want you to begin to see these in the commercials, see these in the advertising, see this, and what you'll notice is most agents advertise and market like garbage. They have a horrible hook, horrible story or value, horrible offer, but not you anymore. You're gonna be lethal at these three parts. You're gonna do them over and over and over and over and over. At the camp, we literally rep it. So you're repping it with me. I stand in front of you and I go, blah, 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 your turn. You don't have to do it in front of the whole group, right? Because we're all standing up at the same time and I come to you individually and we work on it together because it's a skill set. And here's what I'll tell you. The better you get on this little device doing hook story offer off the top of your head, the better all of your marketing will be. It is a skill set. There's a reason I picked a full day to do this, okay? So your homework, here is your homework. Your homework is the content 365 chart. You don't have to put that in the Facebook group, by the way. That's for you. You don't have to be putting that up. But the thing I would have you do is I want to see you do 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And you could do more of that if you want. Hook story offer or hook value offer. I want to see you do 3 of those videos. Quick. 30 to 60 seconds. Let me see you grab my attention with some movement or some kind of quote or statement or question with an identifying pattern interrupt. Let me see you provide some value or tell me a story and tell me what to do. I want to see you do it 3 times. If you want to do the cheat code, just use what you did yesterday and just literally have it in front of you and just do it. In fact, if you've printed it out, that's a hook, right? Like you could literally, I could do this. I could say, have you seen this book? Look at that book. Look at that book. That would be a very good hook. It would grab your attention. In fact, I've done it. And it's worked really well. You could take your cheat sheet and go, I got the secret keys to the kingdom right here. And now you'd be like, what, keys to the kingdom? What the hell is she talking about, right? So I want to see you do 3. Hook story offer, hook story offer, hook story offer. And then I'll put some in there too, right? Maybe I'll put some in there too. Maybe I'll get in the mix. Maybe I'll do some hook story offers that you can use and put into your own business, okay? So content 365 chart. 3 hook story offer videos, or you can do more if you want based on the value that you did yesterday. And here's what I'll say. If you have trouble doing video, it only comes down to 2 things, my friend. It either comes down to the ideas, you don't know what to do a video on or you don't know how to do it, right? It comes down to the execution. You have no excuse on that anymore. You have a content 365 chart that tells, and you also have 3 to 6 videos to do from yesterday. And then you've also know exactly what's my hook going to be? What's my story going to be? And you might even just write that out. What's the hook? The hook is I'm going to call out homeowners. What is the story? The story is going to be Devin's sale. And what's the offer going to be? DM me for a free home evaluation. All right. Boom, and execute, okay? What's the average length of the video? Keep it at, I don't really care. I don't care how long you do it. If I've got my expressives on here and you want to do it 10 minutes long, by all means, go ahead. But I would do it at least 60 seconds if you could. That would be a good amount of time. And the reason I say it doesn't matter is because I got some coaching clients that will do a 5-minute video because they're just expressive. And I'm like, I want to challenge you to put that in 30 seconds. And they're like, Coach, 30 seconds? How am I going to get that down to 30 seconds? I'm like, look, I know you're used to talking a lot, but you don't have to talk that much. You can literally bring it down to 30 seconds. And then I've got other people who do it 30 seconds. They're like, are you thinking about selling your house? My other client did it right here. If you want to do it too, comment. Like, well, I want you to extend that hook story offer out a little bit and work on it. So whatever one goes against the grain for you, that's what I would do. But I would say about 60 seconds. If you did 3 60-second videos where you repped it, you will start to develop that skill. So content creation 365 chart, get that started for yourself. And then number 2, shoot 3 hook story offers. Look, you can do this. If you are afraid to do it or you're not doing it, it either comes down to the execution, which I have solved for you, but there's only one other thing that will stop you. And that is your mindset skills. So I want you to write this down. I'm going to leave you with this quote. The most successful agents continue in the face of what appears to be no results. They continue in the face of what appears to be no results. The most successful agents continue in the face of what appears to be no results. And your goals and your dreams should be bigger than your fears and challenges. If you focus more on your goals and dreams and getting stuff done, the challenges fall to the wayside. A champion's goals and dreams are stronger than their struggles. Okay? That's what I've got for you guys today. I'm looking forward to you guys continuing to play all out. I'm loving this event. Are you guys loving this event? Like, I am digging this. This has been so dang fun. So go ahead. 3, 2, 1, off you go. Make sure you say hi to your friends and family for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow.